text this guy. Excuse me, hi, it's Master Life Coach Mike Kruz. Just give me a second. I have to text the pizza guy. They keep sending anchovies over, and I told him I want pepperoni. So I'm going to show him how I'm going to respond. Dear pizza guy, you suck. I asked for pepperoni and you keep sending... What? Oh, I'm sorry. I did say anchovies. Hey, it's Master Life Coach Mike Kruz, and today's lesson is no response is a response. So, last time we talked about boundaries and how we use our boundaries to keep toxic people out of our lives. The boundary protects us from being abused, used, etc., etc. So, with my clients, I like to teach it where I teach the boundaries, and then the next lesson is no response is a response. And I'm sure you've heard people talk about that. So I'm going to teach it my way, so that way you have a clear understanding of why I use this to come alongside with boundaries. So, actually, texting the pizza guy is kind of like a reason why you should not respond if you're getting anchovies instead of pepperoni. But in all seriousness, I'm going to talk more about as if I were dealing or working with couples and relationships, because it kind of like works with everything, co-workers, friends, blah, blah, blah. So couples come in and they get into heated discussions, and that happens in life. There's no such thing as a perfect couple, because guess what? We all need to learn how to banter, use communication in order to, keep the peace, if you want to call it that. So the couples will come in and they always tell me that there's a heated discussion at the house. And for me, I like to tell them, before this thing blows up into World War III, let's use no response is a response. No response is a response. So what you would do if you're a couple or married or etc., what you would do is tell the other person, hey, listen, this is getting heated. How about we take a break? I'm going to step out, probably go to the gym, take a ride, go for a walk, and we'll come back to this later. Because when things are heated and emotions are being driven and everybody gets impulsive, the things that will come out of your mouth will destroy relationships, no matter what type of relationship it is. I like to tell my clients like this: words have power. What you say matters, right? So think of your mouth as a machine gun. And I know that's really bad, but a machine gun, right? And you're in charge of the trigger. The words are what come out of the machine guns. So if you pull the trigger and you're doing, and then the dust clears, you can actually destroy people with the words. So words do matter, and that's why we do no response is a response. Let's say you're at work and you have a coworker that's just annoying, and they're constantly trying to get under your skin to get a reaction. And thus we kind of like want to think that most people that do that have an issue. I hate saying it like that, but let's just say they have an issue. Maybe they got a mother wound, maybe they got a father wound, maybe they have abandonment issues, we don't know. But most likely they don't know how to communicate and use banter to communicate what they want you to do. So they lash out at you, they blast you, and now they're looking for the response. They're looking for you to say something. And I'm telling you, this is when you got to cognitively think, no response is a response. Why? Because number one is, if you react out of anger and impulse, you're going to say the wrong thing. Number two is, by not reacting and not responding, you're kind of like teaching them a lesson that they cannot get away with it, because we're not going to allow them to cross our boundary. We're nobody's whipping post. We're nobody's dumping ground, right? So that's initially why no response is a response. It gives both people a chance to cool the jets, cool down, relax. And what I would like you to do is go out and process. What does that look like? Journaling, maybe go for that walk, maybe go for the drive. Detach from what's going on and your brain is basically like reverberating what you want to say, because in your self-talk you want to say, you know good, blah blah blah, but you know that that's not the right response. Why? Because it's not going to get you what you want. You want to come back after you've processed, after you've journaled, maybe call a friend, a good friend, by the way, not a toxic friend. And if you're married and your single friends are toxic, do not call them up or text them. But process what you want to say. So this way, when you both come back, you can have good banter and communication on getting, it's not about getting your point across, it's about coming to the neutral ground. Here's the thing that I've learned over time, that everything cannot be left and right thinking. It cannot be black and white thinking. There's got to be a middle ground. If everything is to the extreme, then it could be passive. But if everything is to the other extreme, it could be aggressive. I'd like to teach my clients to come in the middle and be assertive, because in assertiveness, you have your empowerment, you have your boundary to protect you, and you have this next tool called no response is a response. This teaches the other person that they can't get away with trampling on you or using you like a punching bag. Let's suppose they're having a bad day and they rip into you, and then a few hours later they go, I'm really sorry for doing that, but then they become a repeat offender and they keep doing it. So how, I've always had people, I can't do that, that's going to take forever, blah blah blah. So another thing that I like to teach clients in that same session, on top of the boundary, no response is a response, is that nothing is going to come overnight. We have to do the process. And when people hear the process, they kind of like freak out. They're like, what the hell's the process? Well, there's a way I teach the process. The process is the alphabet. In other words, you have to, in order to communicate, you've got to use every letter in the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through to Z. The life process is that if life, and because life is from cradle to grave, and the journey's in between, in order for you to master something, you're going to have to do the process. So on day one, maybe it doesn't work for you. You don't see the result you want. But maybe by day 5, you see the change in the behavior of that person, because they realize that they cannot cross your boundaries, number one, and that by you not responding, it gives them the opportunity to process what was going on cognitively in the brain. Because, one thing that we learned in science is that the brain is just all the, all the particles and all the mass that's in the skull. But the process is beyond what's in the brain. It's the thinking. It's you having the ability to process, to mull over, to think about, to make the decisions, to wait before you respond. So you don't have to respond immediately. You don't have to react immediately. If you're dealing with a narcissist, let's just say, and they studied you, and now they're either a coworker, maybe a spouse, a girlfriend, whatever. They use that tool of manipulating to inject words to make you react, so they can feed off of the energy, right? So, because narcissists are basically vampires, Yes, there is such a thing as narcissistic behavior disorder, but it doesn't excuse the behavior. So if you have someone like a narcissist or a broken person, a manipulator, controller, the list could be long, and we're not here to label people. Everybody can do transitional change and become a better person. But for those of us that have these tools in our life toolbox, the no response is a response does not feed their energy. You remain empowered and you can move on with your day, and they get the chance to process what they did and come back and hopefully give you the analogy of an apology, which will be another session. So let's conclude. So no response is a response. If when we're talking about relationships and couples, where if you're having an argument or the discussion is getting really heavy, someone in that in the relationship say, hey, listen, I love you, I care greatly about you, but this is getting out of control. I'm going to step out for a minute, or if you want to step out for a minute, and let's talk about this later. Now, I don't want you guys to be passive and never address the conversation again. If you give your word that you're going to come back and talk about the issues, please do that. Don't pretend, don't skirt it, don't put it under the rug. Because, like I tell my clients, if you take all your trash and you stick it under the rug, it's going to turn into a bump and you will be tripping over it. So, have that conversation. I say go out and, like I tell my clients, get your journal and write out what you want to talk about, what you want to say, and write it out 3 times. The first time is probably going to be very toxic. Second time, I want to get my point across. By the third time you write it down, what's on that page is exactly what you want to say, and now you have it with you. And now you can have that conversation, you can have that banter, whether it's your supervisor, a friend, your spouse, your girlfriend, you name it, the list goes on. So I hope this has helped you to understand why I teach no response is a response. It is a essential tool for you to communicate with people because you want to remain empowered, but you don't want to react. I tell everybody, do the opposite of your impulse. If you want to go off, don't do it. Depart. Go get lunch. Go to the snack machine. Go to the gym. Go ride a bike. Do what you got to do, and then come back in the fullness of who you are and have that conversation if it needs to be done. Not every conversation needs to be finished, So I hope this helps. Please like and subscribe. Share it with a friend. And hit that bell notification button so that way you see the next video that comes up. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you on the next one. Let me send that text to that pizza guy.